Hello, future Grandmasters. We've got a lot of updates. We've got the Chessable Masters starting on Sunday, and hopefully many, many more tournaments. I wanted to watch two of Hikaru's interviews and Vincent Keimer's interviews to sort of wrap up the tournament, and then maybe some thoughts about some of the games. I think it's relevant. Obviously, Hikaru has had a, let's say, very detrimental impact on my career in many ways, and he's continuing to do things that really affect my career. So I wanted to sort of watch his interviews and provide some more transparency to everything that's happened.
Speaking of results, you didn't win. You had a heartbreaking match loss against Sindarov. You had some pretty strong words after that, where you talked about, potentially retiring a few days on. Do you feel you have cooled down a bit? Do you feel differently, or?
No, actually, I don't feel different at all. I think, of course, it's probably a hot take, but I think a lot of people who are not in the world or don't understand the economics of content creation, and this isn't just chess, but this is about the world as a whole. There's this notion that, it's all about clicks. It's all about saying something so that people click on something, No,
I agree. Clickbait is an essential part of your YouTube channel. You're right. Sorry, we can move past that.
Anybody who's actually on the inside, like myself, we all know that whether it's a short or a reel or anything else, those don't monetize. So when I make these comments, it has absolutely nothing to do with, say, drama or trying to create a clip. I mean, it's the way that I feel. This is something that's been on my mind for a long time now, so I don't have any difference in opinion. I mean, if I don't play well in Norway or the World Cup, I'm going to call it as far as regular classical chess goes. So
I think it's a disappointing mindset. I understand with age things can change, but Hikaru is a great player, and I think that if you go in with a mindset if two tournaments don't go well, you're just going to retire, I think you're destined for failure. And probably a big reason why things haven't gone his way is because if you're planning retirement, right, you've already lost belief in yourself.
The situation hasn't changed whatsoever, and I just kind of want to enjoy it. I think, to use an example, not so long ago, it wasn't this last flight I took, but maybe the flight before, whenever it was, I watched this documentary on Roger Federer and his retirement, and I'm not going to pretend that I'm anywhere near the same league as Federer in relation to tennis or chess.
Well, I would say that Hikaru is the Roger Federer of Tennis Tuesday.
But still, just watching something like that, I think you kind of have to know when that time is coming. And for me, with all the things that I do, the amount of preparation I can do for classical chess is a lot less than everybody else.
I agree. Classical chess requires way too much work. For me, one of my favorite, I love normal chess. Probably Blitz would be my favorite, but I really have been enjoying Fischer Random Rapid.
And I made this comment yesterday about working smarter as opposed to working harder on one of the other interviews I did, and I try to do that to the best of my ability. But still, I think that when I compare the amount of work I'm putting in versus the younger kids, it's not at the same level. And so for me, my big focus, I would say, is on the freestyle series, but also on the upcoming qualifiers for the Esports World Cup, and that's actually my biggest focus.
Well, it's funny that I actually have a similar focus because I don't have invitations, and a couple of people are responsible for that. But I guess since I don't have invitations, I have a similar focus. 'Cause freestyle, let's say, is inviting me. Online, of course, I can play. So not many over-the-board tournaments.
It's not on classical chess, and I know people probably aren't going to like that I'm talking about classical chess this way, but that's how I feel, and my opinion hasn't changed, even if I'm not angry right now.
Yeah, okay. That's one interview. We're going to go to this interview.
Weissenhaus is in the books now. There is 4, or at least 4 events still remaining in this tour. Is there one you're particularly looking forward to, and what are your general thoughts on this upcoming season?
Yeah, so the first things first is that the format has already undergone a few changes. I believe that initially it was supposed to be 8 players, and ultimately this event ended up being 10 players.
Yeah, that's also something I just noticed. I think the more players, the better. The one thing that's odd is that when you start with 10 players, and then only 2 get eliminated, and then 8 go to the knockout, it's a bit of a weird, I don't know, I feel like it'd be more normal to have like 16 and have, because if it's like 10 players and only 2 get kicked out, you're sort of on cruise control, right? Unless you're playing really badly. But it should be noted that obviously your seeding allows you to choose your opponents, which is a huge advantage.
And then I think the next one is 12 players. So because of that, I feel pretty optimistic that I'll be able to qualify or get a wild card for every single event, which is quite nice because with the initial 8-player format, I don't think there was any guarantee that I would be playing all the events. But as it stands right now, it seems pretty likely that I will. So pretty happy about that. I think if you were to ask me about an event that I really am looking forward to, without a doubt, it would be the last event in December in Cape Town, South Africa. South Africa is a place that I've been before, somewhere that's very near and dear to my heart. I actually donated quite a bit of money to help some kids try and travel to Europe and get some experience. So if there's one place that I'm really looking forward to, it's actually Cape Town, even though, of course, there will be an event in the place that I grew up, which is New York, but definitely the last one.
Charity is good. Some of you might remember the Hans Niemann Scholarship. Gave away $10,000. Super inspiring story. I never even, I published it, but I haven't even published the winners, which I should. But some inspiring stories. Applicants from over 40 countries, 5 girls, 5 boys. One of the most inspiring stories was 4 sisters who were Ukrainian refugees in Spain, super talented. So charity and chess is good. I'm in agreement.
I think it's really interesting what you're saying about supporting the kids there. I mean, you have done so much already to grow the game as a content creator, a streamer. Do you see yourself doing more of that, promoting the game to kids, supporting them, especially less privileged children?
I mean, it's obviously quite different than it was back then. That was something that I did purely out of the goodness of my heart. It's long before I started making serious content or becoming famous, I guess you could say, outside of the chess world. I think there are a lot of people who don't have the opportunities in chess that they should have, and so anytime that I can be a part of that, it's a good thing. I think, there's, of course, a much bigger thing going on right now with this esports World Cup, and I think when you look at what's happening with a lot of players getting these contracts that are significant amounts of money, definitely as a percentage compared to what they make as pro players, it speaks volumes.
When I first moved to New York City, the way that I moved here was that during my sophomore year of high school, I was a volunteer for Chess in the Schools. And Chess in the Schools is this amazing program that has chess programs in underprivileged schools. And chess is a great tool that they help them get into college, they help them with all these things. And I used to take the train for 2.5 hours and just analyze people's games for free. I would volunteer, and eventually, I was in Central Park, and I somehow got a scholarship to Columbia Prep. Many people sort of they see the high school I went to, and they make these presumptions when in reality I was on the scholarship. So I've always, people don't realize this. When I was 16 years old, I was not like this destined to be a professional chess player. I was actually a chess coach, and I would teach in schools. So I'm in complete agreement on the transformative impact of chess on education and improving social mobility globally.
The Esports World Cup that you just talked about, is that a big event for you in this year, 2025?
Yeah, so I mean, this morning actually, I was out filming some stuff in relation to that. I think, as I said before the event began, without a doubt, the two biggest things are the Esports World Cup and I wanted to, I'm pretty sure I will now, play the final freestyle event in South Africa. But also looking beyond that, I mean, I think for me, the World Cup is also going to be a very monumental event, and we'll see how that goes. So those are probably the 3 biggest things in the near future.
It was announced yesterday that Fabiano was signed by Team Liquid. Other players, as you mentioned, have been signed already. Do you have any thoughts on any of the players or any of the teams?
It's funny that all of our events align, right? I don't really have, those are the main events for me, the World Cup, the Grand Swiss. When I tweeted about the Esports World Cup, I had 3 teams DM me asking me to join. So I definitely think I'll sign to a team. The prize money is amazing in Saudi. So I think that having the esports ecosystem and bringing into chess could establish sort of like a base salary for a lot of players. And since there's so many esports teams, right, it'll just go beyond just the top 10, but even to hopefully top 100 and beyond. So this is a great initiative, and I'm looking forward to the qualifier, which actually starts Sunday.
Exciting times indeed. And finally, what's next for you?
So yeah, of course, I'm going back to the U.S. tomorrow. I will be going to St. Louis and playing some events there. There's a Champion Showdown event at the start of March, and then there will be the American Cup in the middle of March. I think also.
So in terms of the American Cup and Champion Showdown, those are two tournaments happening in St. Louis, and I haven't been invited. And I haven't been invited to a single tournament in St. Louis in 3 years. I was recently invited to the Spring Chess Classic, but not the American Cup. And in the Spring Chess Classic, my rating is 2734. The average rating would probably be around 2600. So for me to be a top seed and play in that event would not make sense, and most players wouldn't accept the invitation. And I think that that tournament is actually conflicting with the Grenke Freestyle Open. However, there is the American Cup, which I haven't been invited to. The American Cup has a Blitz tournament, and American Cup's Blitz tournament is open to 100 players. So all the players in the American Cup will play there. So I'm hopefully will be able to go to St. Louis. I've tried to register to play in the American Cup Blitz tournament. So I think these are the players who have already qualified. And then I think Prague and other players are invited. But anyway, so yeah, I think when I look at the year, obviously, like my rating has increased a lot. I'm 2734. I'm knocking on the door of top 10. I haven't played a classical tournament in almost 4 months. That's the longest I think I've gone without playing classical in 3-4 years. And I don't know what my next tournament will be. I really look at my schedule, and my next classical tournament could be in May. I'm trying to organize matches, but there's really nothing. So it's like sad that I could go. Like, it's looking to be a likely scenario. There's like a 6-month period without classical chess. And that's just lack of invitations. So it's really disappointing that the chess world, or let's say the chess powers that be, haven't moved on. I don't mean to make this out to be some conspiracy, but when you don't receive invitations for 3 years, plausible deniability starts to sort of become quite questionable. So I appreciate all your support. Let me know what you guys think of this type of content, reacting, analyzing, and I'll see you guys soon.